Shido would watch as the new girl, whom he knew as Origami, would take her seat right next to his. Besides the rather long hair, she had a shyness about her that was very different from the Origami that he knew. This didn't even feel like the real Origami at all, but this had to be her. This left Shido with more questions than answers. He tried to focus on class for the rest of the day, but Origami was still on his mind. And things only became more complicated when after lunch, he saw that there was a note on his desk. It was telling him to meet on the roof of the school after class. Shido would do as obliged, and this would lead him into contact with Origami. She was nervous talking to Shido as she was trying to ask him out. She had noticed the way he had looked at her, and when she looked back at him, well, her heart began to skip a beat. Of course, Shido didn't mind this at all. The real question was, why was Origami gone? How come she didn't recognize him? As they would continue their conversation, Shido would learn about this Origami's history. Yes, 5 years ago, during the attack of one of the spirits, her parents were saved. She would tell him the story of a young man dressed in red. He was fighting against someone dressed in yellow, and he had managed to save their parents before being vaporized by the spirit. However, just 3 years after that, her parents would die tragically in a car accident. But she didn't have any resentment or hate in her heart. Since it was a freak accident, there was nothing that could be done. Of course, this did upset Shido a little. After all, for all the trouble that they had gone through to change the past, Origami's parents still died in the long run. But perhaps that was just a part of fate. Maybe they were always meant to die. Shido didn't want to ponder that thought. The idea of there being some cosmic justice in the universe that would just make Origami's parents dying a fixed point. As they were continuing to talk, though, the situation would become more complicated when Kurumi showed up. This caused a change in Origami. Her spirit powers began to awaken, but not the artificial spirit she had. No, she was no longer Cicada. She became the spirit devil. Kurumi was antagonizing this inverse Origami, and it wasn't until she disappeared again that Origami would snap back to her senses. She had no recollection of what had happened, and for Shido, his only focus was calming her down. He had already had enough of fighting against allies once before. He wasn't trying to do it again. Origami, in her embarrassment, would leave Shido immediately, and once she was gone, that's when Shido called her out. "You can stop hiding now, Kurumi," Shido would say. "Aw, you know me so well." Kurumi would appear from Shido's shadow as she wrapped her arms around him from behind. "You know, seeing how far you'd go for these girls, sometimes you leave me rather intrigued, Shido." Yeah. But what's going on though, Kurumi? Why is this world so different? What happened to the future? Everyone else? There's no need to worry about that, Shido. That future no longer exists. What? How is that even possible? If I'm not mistaken, shouldn't you still be in that future? I was. But you rewrote the future, Shido. I know it's a hard concept for you to grasp. After all, you speedsters always have a habit of changing the future, but my power is different from yours. Don't you remember? You guys just destroy time and you piece it back together with super glue and call it a day. I am the master potter, Shido. Time is like clay. I can mold it, shape it however I want, however I see fit. Its flow, I control it. And right now, on everything that's happened, the world that you knew, it no longer exists. There's no need to worry about it, no need to dwell on it. Sure, for you it might be a nightmare, but that's all it will ever be. A nightmare. A timeline that's been erased from all history. You'll never be able to go back to it. The trick to using my power is to accept the world that you're in, not the world that you left behind. That's the only way you can move on, Shido. I still need to find someone. You mean him? He could be out there somewhere. I need to figure it out. Shido would go racing around the world, eventually making his way to where Star Labs was. He would gather information on this world to figure out everything that happened. The particle accelerator, it never blew up. Cisco Ramon's brother Dante never died in that accident. No. Everything had changed. As Shido would arrive to Fraxinus, meeting with Kotari and the members of Ratasker, he would be greeted by Cisco Ramon. Hey Shido, what's up? I've been tracking your movements recently. You've really been zipping and zooming all around the world, huh? Cisco, you're alive. Yeah, why wouldn't I be? You okay, Shido? Yeah, I'm just, Shido, it's good to see you. Dr. Wells, you're not in a wheelchair. No, why would I be? Don't think there's anything wrong with my legs, Shido. You were still going to be running the test on the treadmill, right? Right, yeah. I have to go speak to Kotari. I'll see you guys, okay? Shido would zoom off, leaving both Wells and Cisco confused, but for now, they had to get back to work. Shido would call for an emergency meeting with Kotari and Miss Reina, as there was a lot they had to discuss. For Kotari, all of this information, it was definitely surprising, but at the same time, it wasn't. After all, when it came to Shido and his weird powers and dealing with the spirits, well, safe to assume you always had to expect the unexpected. So let me get this straight. You came from a timeline where the world was almost destroyed. No, scratch that. It was destroyed. We all died in some fight against DEM and this mystery guy called Reverse Flash, aka Eobard Thawne. So you, Origami, went back in time using Zoth Keel with the power given to you from Kurami, and you changed the past and recreated a new timeline. Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Oh boy. But what he's saying isn't impossible, Miss Reina would say. By the way, how exactly did I get my powers? What, you don't remember that either? Look, I'm going to tell you and you tell me, and let's see if we're on the up and up. Okay. I got ran through by Toka's sword and struck by lightning. What? That's what happened to you? Kotari said. Yeah? Why? That's not what happened, Shido. What are you talking about? That's exactly what happened. No, that's not what happened. You were in the laboratory on Fraxinus. A window got busted open during a storm and lightning struck inside. You got hit by a lightning bolt and doused in chemicals. That's how you got your powers. And it was after you had already sealed Yoshino and Toka. Wait, so you're saying I didn't get my powers by being stabbed by Toka and getting struck by lightning? No, you had already sealed 2 spirit powers by the time you got your flash powers. That's another change, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Who knows how much more has changed, Reina said. But if everything you've said is true, we have no recollection of this timeline. The only ones that know are you and Kurumi. I imagine Kurumi would know since she's the one who implemented these events, and you having your spirit powers as well as being connected to Kurumi. But what about Origami? How come she doesn't seem to remember any of it? And how is she now a real spirit? That's not what happened. She had artificial spirit powers. Perhaps she was changed. Maybe like how Miku or myself were. You think Phantom had something to do with it? Likely. But we'd have no way of knowing for sure. But what matters now is that she is a spirit. And we have to treat her like one. You know what that means, right? I have to go on a date with her. Get her to fall for me. Nothing like a good old date to really get the heart flowing. Wouldn't you agree, Shido? Well, I kinda got something already planned for Saturday. Wait, what? How'd you already do that? Kotori said with annoyance. It wasn't me. She left a note. I mean, I just replied and the sooner we can get it done, the better. Okay then. Fraxinus is going to be up and running and we're going to get operational. Ratasker's going to plan out your date with Origami. Understood. Shido and Origami would plan their date for Saturday. But despite the knowledge that Shido thought he had on Origami, it wasn't like anything he could have been anticipating at all. Origami was far different from her normal self. Normally, Origami was always brash and bold. There was nothing that could upset her or fluster her. But this Origami, well, she seemed to always be jumped and startled by every little thing. Anything that would cause her to blush or become embarrassed or feel flustered, it definitely took full effect. For Kotori and the others at Ratasker, they had no idea what Shido was doing on this date. The suggestions he was making, the options he was taking, they were far from normal. Shido, Kotori said, you might know Origami as one way in the world you came from, but you can't operate off of that knowledge. You have to operate under the assumption that you know nothing about her. You don't know this Origami really. Perhaps you're right. You know, let's just try to go out to eat and regroup. After going out to eat, both Shido and Origami would continue their date. As the sun was beginning to set, they decided to go for a walk to overlook the city and enjoy the view. Origami would apologize as she felt the date didn't go as great as it could have been, feeling like it was her fault. No, Origami, it's not like that at all. I had a lot of fun with you. I was just a little overzealous, I guess. I'm sorry. No, you have no reason to be sorry. You were trying really hard, and I will admit you are a bit peculiar in a way. Honestly, you remind me a lot of him. Who? It's nothing, really. What? I mean, there's no chances that there's someone out there in the world that looks like me, now is it? Well, I mean, there was... When I told you about my parents, the guy that saved them, when I look in your eyes, I can't help but see his. I see that spark, and you just remind me so much of him. You mean the Flash? Huh? Wait, you know his name? Mm, uh, yeah, you could say that. I see. Well, I am grateful to him for everything. I don't know why, but from time to time, he always crosses my mind. Someone that I didn't even know, sacrificing himself to save the people I care about. I wish I could repay him, but honestly, I wouldn't even know how. I don't think you'd have to go that far, Origami. I'm pretty sure that he just wanted to help in any way that he could. Shido would reach out for Origami's hand, and she took it. As they held on to one another and got closer, Shido's powers would begin to flare. He wasn't sure of why himself, but Origami could feel that sensation. Her eyes would deadpan and become hollow as a dark aura formed around her. The aura of inverse Origami. The spirit devil. Fraxinus would now be put on high alert, as an uncontrollable spirit would be detected. Toka, Yoshino, Kaguya, Yuzuru, Miku, and Natsumi would arrive. Shido was so happy to see them again. Shido would hold out his hand on his ring finger as his suit would deploy. A lot more spiffy from the last one he was wearing, courtesy of Cisco Ramon. Toka and the others would assess the situation. They would have to work on breaking through Origami's barrier, allowing for Shido to get in there and seal her powers before she caused a spatial quake. Shido would also learn that the reason of inverse Origami's existence was that inverse Origami was his Origami. But unlike himself and unlike Kurumi, Origami could not accept the reality. And thus, two personalities of Origami were created. One that had no recollection of the past, and for the one that did, a mind-numbing spirit killer was all that remained. Using the power of Fraxinus, they would fire a concentrated beam towards the barrier that inverse Origami had kept herself in, while the others would attack at full force, creating an opening for Shido to speed inside of the barrier to find Origami, who on the inside was starting to come to grips with the reality of what she had done. The reality of her world. The true world. The world where her parents died at the hands of a spirit. That spirit being herself. The world where she was enveloped by hatred. The hatred that made her kill her friends. She killed them. She saw their dead bodies flashing before her eyes. Natsumi, Miku, Yuzuru, Kaguya, Yoshino, and Toka. The pain on Shido's face. She caused so much pain to everyone. It was all her fault. As she found herself giving into despair, the crimson-clad hero stood before her. It was you. You're the one that saved them, Shido. Yeah. We went back in time to change the past. But it doesn't change what I've done. Even if a new timeline was made, I can't escape it, no matter how hard I try. I can't outrun it. The guilt, it's inside of me. killed my parents. I killed my friends. I destroyed everything. And I hurt you. And I have to live with that, don't I? Seeing Origami break down in his arms, Shido could only hold her. As much as he wanted to tell her that she could let go, that wouldn't be the right thing to say. I'm sorry, Origami. But this is something you'll have to live with. It may never go away. Origami would cry in Shido's arms, as now this was the one thing his powers could not help him with. No amount of running could change the past, and no matter how fast he went, he could never escape it. But he could bear responsibility. You don't have to blame yourself. I deserve just as much. I should have done more. I should have been more proactive. I should have been there for you. I should have understood. You were going through so much pain. And I tried calling myself a friend, but I ignored you. I ignored you in your time of need. I never thought about how hard it was for you to be around everyone else. I never took your feelings into consideration. I just kept trying to force what I wanted onto you. When you were in trouble, when you needed me, I wasn't there. I was indecisive and I was selfish. And I will never be that way again, Origami. I have no right to ask this of you. But I am begging you to please put your trust in me. To put your faith in me one more time. And I promise I will never let you down again. Origami looked into Shido's eyes, seeing the spark that she had come to know and love. She threw herself onto him, ready and willingly. She would give him a kiss, allowing for her powers to be sealed, allowing for Shido to hold her in that moment, to throw all of her burdens onto him, to the one whom she trusted, her hero. Thankfully enough, the crisis would be averted. Origami would finally be restored back to normal. And Shido called in yet another favor. It was during lunch at school that Shido would go into the bathroom. He went to one where he knew no one else would be. You are such a selfish boy, Kurumi would say. And a bold one, keeping a poor girl trapped here all alone in the bathroom. I bet you have naughty fantasies of this, don't you? Why do you always have to make a situation weird, Kurumi? Were you able to get to them? I was. And you should know, the price is doubled. Huh? I mean, seriously, putting a poor girl through all of this work. You know how hard it is to get through Fraxinus defenses just to use my powers? But you got the information, right? I did. They don't know anything. Cisco Ramon, Harrison Wells. I searched through their memories and they're clean. No recollection of the Reverse Flash or Eobard Thawne. It seems like he died 5 years ago when you killed him. By the way, if I went back in time and killed him, how am I still here? Shido. The you that went back in time is dead, but those memories were recollected back to you. Just because you died 5 years ago, there was a younger you that was still alive? Or did you forget? Oh, yeah. Wait, that means I'm him? You're him, you're you, you're... Look, at this point, just try not to worry too much about it. I don't want you to worry that pretty little head of yours too much, now do I? Thank you, Kurumi. I couldn't have done this without you. Don't thank me just yet. You still have to pay me back. And don't worry, I won't be collecting now. But when I do, I'll shoot you a call. Maybe we can go on another date. How's that? Kurumi would disappear in the shadows. And now, Shido was left to his own devices. This new world, whatever it was. Just because it was different, it didn't mean they were out of the woods yet. Later on that day, he had another meeting. It was with Leonard Snart. You know, I was halfway across the world when you called me, Shido, and I know, you had a plan, you want to stick to the plan, and I ruined the plan. Look, I've been thinking, and you're right. DEM Industries needs to be taken down. So, the speedster's finally come to his senses. I think we should get to work. Together. I want you to work with us. Not just in saving spirits, but we take down DEM. We hit them before they hit us. I don't care how much money Westcott's got. He's got nowhere to run. Nowhere I can't track him. And I'll be right behind you, with an ice gun ready to destroy him at sub-zero temperatures. I gotta say, I look forward to this, Shido. It was just then that Shido's phone would be blaring. There was an emergency. Some sort of earthquake or something was going on downtown. I gotta go. I'm sure you do, Speedster. Shido would go racing through to the disaster area, moving to save all of the people from the rubble and the falling debris that was around them, knowing that he was the only one capable. With a quickness, Shido would move the civilians, moving them in bunches before there was only one that remained. It was a woman. She was caught between a wall. The people of Tengu City were starting to become more acquainted with their new hero. She called out vehemently to the Flash. As Shido raced to the woman, saving her from the rubble that was about to fall, he saw that he was not alone. Yes, the woman called out to the Flash, but there was more than one. There was someone else. Someone dressed in red and blue, with a yellow lightning bolt on his coat, wearing a silver helmet with wings on the side. You okay, ma'am? I'm fine. Who are you? Both would say in unison, I'm the Flash. Huh? You're the Flash? No, I'm the Flash. No, kid. I'm the one and only Flash. Always have been, always will be. Yeah, and I'm the Flash. Who are you? Hold on. Where the hell am I? I'm in Japan, right? Yeah, you're in Japan. This is Tengu City. Tengu City? I've never heard of a Tengu City. This is supposed to be Tokyo. What? Shido would say. There is no Tokyo. Tengu City is where Tokyo used to be after the spatial quake. What? Kid? Wait a... Oh, crap. crap. Yeah, my dad is gonna kill me. Your dad? Wait, hold on. Who are you? Really? Because you're saying you're the Flash, but I'm the Flash. If we're both Flashes, then shouldn't we be the same person? You don't look anything like me, Shido said as he took off his mask. No, I damn sure don't look like that. Who are you? Shido would ask. The name's Basara. Basara Tojo. And I am the Flash. And you? Name's Shido. Shido Itsuka. And I am the Flash. Well, Shido, either I have a long-lost brother that I never knew that decided to start calling himself the Flash, or I'm in the wrong Earth. Wrong Earth? Wait a minute. Flash print. What? It's, we have a lot to figure out. Shido! Shido! Yeah, Kotari? The earthquakes finally stopped, but who are you talking to? Kotari? Meet Basara Tojo. He's the Flash. This concludes Day Alive Flash in Time. What If Shido Was the Flash? Season 3, Part 8, the Season 3 finale. As we finally come to the end of another season, I want to take the time, as always, to say thank you to everyone who has been supportive of this series. Like I always say, I can't do it without you. You make the channel grow. You make the core grow. And I will say, this was definitely one of the most intense of writings for a story that I've done, especially with someone like the Flash, because, you know, with a character like him, writing a speedster, it can be fun at times, it can be difficult at times. With Season 3, it was definitely a lot that we had to play with, especially with the conclusion of the Reverse Flash saga, if you will, that's been running for 3 seasons now, 3 seasons strong. And we've definitely come a long way since I first started with the series all the way back in, I want to say 2022, 2020, I think it's either 2021, I think is the earliest. And we finally gotten to this point. I know a lot of people are always suggesting when I'm going to do Savitar or Godspeed or any other speedster character. And my thing is, just to kind of answer all your questions, I don't want to just make a series where I spam a whole bunch of characters just for the sake of doing it. So the reason why I haven't used a Savitar or a Godspeed or a Zoom is because, I'll be entirely honest with you, I don't know if I'm going to use all of those characters. Like, to tell a story, the story that I'm trying to tell, I don't think I need to use all of them. I might use 1 or 2, but I'm not trying to just use every evil speedster I can think of. Like, I want to integrate them into the story in a way that makes sense, that's coherent to what I'm trying to tell. Same thing with the Flash's rogues. I know a lot of people have been asking for Golden Glider or Gypsy or Heatwave, and I haven't used them yet because I haven't felt like it's the time to use them. That's why I'm starting off introducing them, you know, one at a time. I've used Captain Cold, the various Mirror Masters, using other characters as surrogates, like Miku. Miku is the Music Meister, and Natsumi is the trickster of this world. So, like, not every Flash character is just going to be their own character. Some are going to be stand-ins for others. But I'm saying all that to say that it will come in time, you know. I want it to come in time in a way that makes sense, so I'm not rushing just to do it for the sake of doing it. So that's something to keep in mind with this story. You're probably having questions about Basara being here. Well, like I've told you, kind of similar to what I'm doing with the Defenders in my anime Marvel world, where I'm going to have a whole world dedicated to the Defenders, and all those stories will take place on one Earth. That's kind of what I'm doing with my Earth 2, where I'm doing the Justice Society. The world that I make for the Justice Society, that's all going to be on one planet, like on one Earth. So right now, Justice Society, it currently consists of the Campione Shazam series with Kusanagi Goto as Shazam. He's on Earth 2. And the Joestar family, who are Dr. Fate, they're on Earth 2 as well. And more characters who will be in that Earth 2 universe will be introduced next year. And Basara is one of them, since he will be the stand-in for the Jay Garrick Flash. So that's kind of like to give you just a little teaser of what's to come when we get into the stories of Earth 2, because they're going to have their own event. And as far as what I'm building towards, we are building towards Crisis on Infinite Earths. I think that's kind of where we're all going. I think we all kind of know where we're going with that. But I'm not rushing it, because Crisis on Infinite Earths is a very big deal. It's one of the biggest stories in DC comic history. And when I tell my own version of Crisis on Infinite Earths, I'm going to be honest with you. Crisis might be the event that ends anime DC Comics, because I don't know if I'm going to want to continue it after that. Like, I might wrap up any story that needs to be wrapped up after, but I'm kind of trying to save Crisis for, like, that final event. And when that's done, I'm going to do a clean slate, like just a cleaning of the deck, and I might just restart with my own thing. So that's kind of something to keep in mind. Crisis will probably be where I wrap up everything, the My Hero Academia, Batman, Shido, Flash, like all of it. Like, I want Crisis to kind of be like the final send-off for when I'm done. But Crisis won't be for a while. So we're still building, we're still growing, and I hope you guys will enjoy. We'll continue to be along for the ride as we continue. Also, as a bit of an update, I have decided that Part 8 of What If Luffy Was Aquaman Season 2, Part 8, that will be the Season 2 finale, since I was going to chop it up into 2 parts, but I think I'm just going to do one big part tomorrow. So that part will be tomorrow. So Season 2 finale of What If Luffy Was Aquaman, that will be tomorrow. That will be Part 8. Afterwards, I'm going on break next week. I got stuff coming out, but I'm going on break because when I come back, we're going full throttle for the rest of the year until the end of the year. And that'll wrap up the remaining stories that we have on the channel. But I hope you guys have enjoyed and stick around for what we have to come out now and in the future. But without further ado, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with Power Core Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.